Ovasta Kumbra. In tatsu wakante jinke. Ampa de shia wiki de awata tseapa. Toche nikashi ankaliapa. Akonta ankoda shita. Dali wadakshi kumbra. Tata oa la kikapi huhekapi inche. Di lake wadakshe. Wajaji akita. Si wajo. Ina intatsi. Zikajia pa iko wisiko ski ve hage. Wijinki ijonki ski. Siwajo oki. Lake wadapi. Inika shika ozuke. Kisude. Lale wadakshe. Adatse pita. Lale wadakshe. Ia kashena. Amen.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And thanks, everyone, for getting us here today. Over 1,200 names are inscribed on the granite walls behind me here, and more names will be added every year as they are submitted. The Osage Veterans Memorial Commission has done an incredible job of making this a wonderful and unique tribute to our Osage veterans. I would like to recognize the members of the committee at this time. Commission Chair Franklin McKinley, Commission Member Richard Luttrell, Commission Member Francis West Williams, Commission Member Richard Perrier, and Commission Member John Henry Mashakashay, and Congresswoman Angela Pratt, who as Speaker of the Osage Congress represented the Congress during the process. The Osage Veterans Memorial is a remarkable tribute to our Osage veterans who, along with the Osage currently serving in the armed forces, pledged to give the ultimate sacrifice to protect our freedoms and our way of life. We cannot do enough to honor them. Written on these granite walls are the words, "This memorial is dedicated to all Osage veterans and warriors. All gave some, but some gave all." Congratulations to everyone, and thank you, veterans, for your service.
I would like to thank God for this day and the opportunity to gather here on this momentous occasion where we are honoring our Osage warriors. Thank you to our Wanon, our Kahika Oachta, Kishtomoy, Winseki Everett, Kishtomoy. Our honorees, our Wajaji Nikaji, our honorees, our distinguished guests, our Osage veterans and your families, and all my brothers and sisters in arms for your attendance and sharing this day with us. My heart is bursting with pride to be in the presence of so many heroes of all walks of life, so thank you for sharing this day with us. I was asked by my colleague, my friend and relative, R.J. Walker, the Speaker of the Congress, to speak on behalf of the Osage Nation Congress this morning, so I thank you for this opportunity and honor. On behalf of the Congress, I would like to say thank you to so many involved in making this happen. And I want to give you a quick timeline because this memorial is long overdue. I would like to thank Chief Standing Bear, who was then Congressman Standing Bear, who sponsored the original piece of legislation to seat a Veterans Commission and to appropriate $500,000 to begin the fund for this memorial, and to those who voted yes on the second Osage Congress. In 2013, that appropriation was reduced to $150,000, and then fast forward to 2017, I sponsored a bill to appropriate $1.1 million to fund this memorial. Due to the language in the original bill that names the chief and the Speaker of the Congress to the Commission, I had the pleasure of sitting on the Commission and working with the members from the early stages, and now Speaker Walker is fulfilling that role in the Commission, and I know he's had enjoyed meeting and working with them so far. The Osage Congress would like to express our heartfelt appreciation to the Veterans Commission, Navy veteran and Chairman Franklin McKinley, United States Marine Corps veteran John Henry Mashankashay, United States Air Force veteran retired Richard Perrier, United States Army veteran Richard Luttrell, and the president of the Hominy War Mother Association, and as well as the president of the Oklahoma War Mothers Association, Francis Williams. This is a wonderful group, and I love them all very much. And they've spent countless hours planning to establish this memorial that we can all be proud of. This group of veterans and War Mother expressed from their hearts their vision. This was their vision. And the rest of us followed behind to make their vision a reality. I would like to thank Maria DeRoyne, United States Air Force veteran retired, for coming aboard and all your work assisting the commission to make this day happen, and also to the 5th Osage Congress, who voted unanimously to fund this memorial. On behalf of the Osage Congress, I'd like to say thank you to Wallace Engineering, the Osage Nation Tribal Development Department, Builders Unlimited, the Osage Nation Roads Department, Price Monument, R&K Studio, and so many others for all of their work, because the Osage Nation is eternally grateful for what your hands have done. I was recently in Denver, Colorado at a convention, and I was at the Union Station, and a book was lying there, and it was interesting, and it caught my eye, so I opened it up, and the page that I flipped to, I read this. When we build, let us think that we build forever. Let it not be for present delight, nor for present use alone. Let it be such work as our descendants will thank us for. And let us think, as we lay stone on stone, that a time is to come when those stones will be held sacred because our hands have touched them, and that men will say, as they look upon the labor and wrought substance of them, see, this our fathers did this for us. That was said by John Ruskin. Now, I don't know who John Ruskin was, but I liked what he had to say, and I later discovered that he was a leading art critic and draftsman in the 1800s. But I thought of these groups of fine individuals and what your hands have done for us back home when I read that. So thank you. I'm happy we're here and we are honoring our Osage veterans and their families by this long-awaited memorial. We are saying thank you, veterans, for your sacrifice, and thank you to the war mothers and families who loved and supported them. They all have their story, and some are longer than others. Some lived to tell them, and some didn't. Some paid the ultimate sacrifice, but we all made some sort of sacrifice. They've all shed blood, sweat, and tears, some more than others. Some are with us today, sitting right here, and some have gone on to be with our Father. But they've all served to their fullest and did so faithfully. While there are many, still so few in this country, have worn the uniform and accepted the orders and risk that each warrior faces. Time is precious, and they all gave some of theirs to this country. American Indians have the highest rate of service in the armed forces per capita than any other ethnic group, and have served with distinction in every major conflict for over 200 years, and there are numerous Osage warriors among them, and we have a long history of service and highly decorated servicemen and women. I know that we are all proud to descend from the names that are on this wall. This memorial is our acknowledgement of their warrior spirit and service. So today, on this Veterans Day, which is a day to honor all those who have served in the United States Armed Forces, the Osage Congress would like to say thank you to all the veterans for their service. God bless you and your families and your homes. And I'm thinking of our many brothers and sisters who can't be here and share this day with us, and I'd really like to see Gary Ellsbury's face right now, and experiencing this honor. So I thank you very much. God bless you all.
Good morning. My Lance Woolsey. I'm with Wallace Engineering. We were the ones instrumental in helping bring this vision to life. Just a couple of things I'd like to say. Remember those from whence we came, for that is our heritage. Honor those who are present, for that is our pride. Teach those who come after, for they are our future. Thank you for allowing us to bring this vision to life. It's your vision. It belongs to the Osage Nation, its people, and its warriors, past, present, and future. May you find peace and lasting healing here for a long, long time. Thank you.
My name is John Tucker. I'm with Veterans Unlimited. I'm the site superintendent. As you know, that Mother Nature wasn't as kind to us this season. We had a lot of rain, a lot of mud, and the mud would dry up and we'd get more rain. But we managed to succeed, and I'm very proud of the challenge that we overcome. And I would like to thank all of the veterans, both present and past. I didn't serve our country, but I have made a pledge to serve in whatever way I can. So what I would like to do is present the Veterans Committee a token of my appreciation, Builders Unlimited's appreciation. I have made a commemorative feather. I'd like to add that this feather was actually fashioned from a tree that used to stand out here. I believe it's called a hackberry tree, and it's another way of honoring that tree as well. So at this time, if I may present the Osage Veterans Committee. Is there someone here that can accept this? Thank you very much.
Hawaii, good morning. I am honored to be able to speak at this dedication ceremony today. Chief Standing Bear, Assistant Chief Redcorn, members of the Congress, the Minerals Council, and all veterans, welcome. Thank you to all of those who have worked so hard and diligently on this memorial. It is something to behold and to be proud of. This dedication ceremony is a time to set apart a particular place to honor and memorialize those veterans who served and have served our country in wartime and in times of peace. The Osage Veterans Memorial was Chief Standing Bear's vision and dream for many years. He wanted our veterans to have a place preserved in their honor, their memory, so that generations to come would know of the sacrifices these military members made. That has allowed us as Osage people and American citizens the very freedoms that we enjoy today. Our liberties and values stand safe today because of these brave men and women. We thank God for each and every one of them. I would like to take a moment to thank the following people: the Office of the Chiefs, Osage Nation Congress, the Contractors and Builders Unlimited Incorporated, Price Monument, who did all the granite work, the architect and engineer, Wallace Engineering, and also R&K Studio for their beautiful feather sculpture. Special thanks to Justin Carr, Talia Redcorn, Silas Saplehoodle, the Osage Nation Roads Department, the Osage Nation Tribal Works Department, IT and the Communications Department, Carrie Rogers and Tammy Leeper with the Osage Nation Accounting Department. The members of the Osage Veterans Memorial Committee and myself would like to express our heartfelt appreciation and deepest gratitude for being appointed by the Chief Standing Bear to be a part of this important endeavor. This has been an honor for each of us. I would like to encourage everyone to come and sit or just talk around the memorial to consume the spirit of this place. There is a closeness we can feel here. View it as a sacred place that it is. We are surrounded by the spirits of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Whether you're related to someone whose name is placed here or not, you can share in the kinship of being an Osage and an American citizen. We dedicate this site as a sacred place for our Osage veterans and all veterans, where veterans from all walks of life can come visit, come to connect, come to share their stories. Use this memorial to heal your very soul. We want this memorial to always stand as a symbol to those who have sacrificed and have paid the ultimate price for our country and freedoms. We would like to thank everyone for attending this dedication today. May God bless you, and may God bless America and the Osage Nation. Thank you.
All right, we are doing an honorary ceremony. We'll be placing blankets on some veterans. A little bit hard. Okay, so today Franklin McKinley is honoring Henry Ben Harrison. Yes. Henry is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. He entered the Marine Corps in 1958. He completed IRT in Camp Pendleton and stationed in 29 Palms, where he was stationed in Camp McTurris in Okinawa, where he was involved in maneuvers in Mount Fuji, Japan, and also Pohang, South Korea. Henry transferred to 7th Engineer Battalion in Camp Pendleton and finished his service at the USMC Air Base in Yuma, Arizona, where he was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps in 1962. John Henry Mashantashe is honoring Charles Lookout Jr. A U.S. Navy veteran, Charles served in World War II in the Pacific Theater and was stationed on the USS Saratoga, where he was involved in 9 island operations to include Iwo Jima and Okinawa.
Everybody got
Francis Williams is honoring Richard Luttrell, a U.S. Army veteran. Richard was born and raised in Hominy, Oklahoma. His love and knowledge for horses led him to Oklahoma Military Academy, where he graduated with honors in the Military Horse Cavalry and Honor Mounted Team. Richard entered the U.S. Army during World War II. He received basic training as a rifleman and qualified. He then accepted into Officer Candidate School and graduated from Fort Benning, Georgia, Infantry School. Richard was then assigned to several posts, including small arms, where he was an infantry tactics instructor, later being discharged from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Richard entered the National Guard after returning home and was immediately deployed to Korea. Throughout World War II in Korea, he was fortunate to be placed in various military schools where he became a proficient in infantry, artillery, anti-aircraft-borne amphibious, heavy weapons, and guided missiles. He served with several infantry units as squad leader, platoon sergeant, and platoon leader, executive officer, and commanding officer. Richard is privileged and honored to have served with Bravo Battery, 145th AAA, Sea Battery commanding officer, tank infantry teams, trained in commanded the battalion capture team, the terrible tribe of A Company, 180th Infantry. Richard was discharged from the Army with 12 years of active service as CPT Infantry, as Captain Infantry, U.S. Army. Richard is married to Carmelita Luckful, the parents of 4 children: Allison, who is deceased, Anita, Rick, and Don. Living 30 years in Colorado, Richard enjoyed hunting, fishing, camping, and created and managed his own outfitters company, becoming the first commercial river rafting company in Colorado River. Richard and Carmelita retired to their home place in Hominy, where he became involved with helping Osage community. He has been honored by many organizations as a veteran and for community service. In 2016, the Oklahoma National Guard 160th Infantry Battalion inducted him into the Order of the St. Maurice, patron saint of the infantry, a highlight of his life which he has greatly cherished. Most recently, the 10th Annual Indian Elder Honors. At 92 years of age, Richard is blessed to be married 71 years and will have his 3 remaining children and 6 grandchildren by his side. He continues to positively guide his family in their dreams and endeavors. Richard Perrier is honoring Angela Pratt. A U.S. Army veteran, Angela served in the United States Army as a 14T Patriot missile crew member. She attended basic training at Delta 210 Infantry Brigade, St. Leonard Wood, Missouri. She received her advanced individual training and was stationed at Foxtrot Battery, 343rd Air Defense Artillery Brigade in St. Louis, Texas. She graduated AIT and as the overall fitness soldier and received Outstanding Physical Fitness Award. She deployed to Bahrain. Received the Army Achievement Medal, Army Good Conduct Medal, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, Army Service Medal, and Sharpshooter Marksman with Rifle and Grenade to complete her enlistment with an honorable discharge. Angela was elected as the Osage Nation Congress in 2014 and 2018. She is married to Edward and is proud mother of Gabriel, Isaac, Penny, Eddie, Henry, and Samuel. Richard Luttrell is honoring John Williams. A U.S. Army veteran, John Williams was raised in Fairfax, Oklahoma, graduating in 1966. He attended college for 1 year before enlisting in the Army in July 1967. He received basic training at Fort Polk, Louisiana, during which he volunteered for Special Forces. He received training in combat engineering and leadership at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Airborne training at Fort Benning, Georgia. John was then assigned to John F. Kennedy Warfare Center, where upon completing the required training, he was assigned to Special Forces medical training in Fort Sam Houston, San Diego, Texas. Then he returned to Fort Bragg, assigned to the 3rd Special Forces Group, volunteering for Vietnam. John was assigned to the 5th Special Force Group, providing medical treatment on Special Forces A Team at Camp Bruprang, thank you. Camp Claymie, Natrain, thank you. And several other locations, including the Cambodian border. Medical attention was also given to the Montagnard tribal people at several of their villages. He earned the rank of sergeant while in the military. John returned to the United States after his tour in 1970. He applied and was accepted in the United States Indian Health Services Physician Assistant Program. He graduated with test scores of top % overall the nation. John was the first elected Vice President of Native American Physician Assistants in New Mexico. His first duty station was at the Grand Canyon, giving medical attention to the Havasupai tribe. Thank you. From then on, he worked on 5 more isolated Indian reservations, moving to Pawhuska, serving as the Health Service Administrator until his retirement after 35 years in the federal government. John is married to Frances West Williams. They have 3 children, John Jr., Stacy, and Nicholas, 9 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Both of their sons are veterans. John's Osage name is Hatoho. And I'm going to explain the blankets that they were given. So the fabric of our nation is woven with the sacrifices of our veterans. This USA-made wool blanket honors the selfless service of these brave men and women. Centered on the blanket is a representation of the American flag. Each stripe represents a service ribbon awarded to the veterans of historical conflicts from World War II on. And stars represent the 50 states, District of Columbia, and the 5 U.S. territories.
Brigadier General Lewis W. Willem is the Assistant Adjutant General for the Army Oklahoma National Guard. He advises and assists the Adjutant General on the preparation of Oklahoma National Guard units for homeland defense and mobilization. He has oversight of training, administration, logistics, and personnel actions. He directs the immediate staff and provides guidance to the staff and subordinate commanders. General Willem also facilitates command staff decisions pertaining to force development, planning, strength maintenance, and task force operations. He advises the Adjutant General concerning any issue or matter that affects the Oklahoma National Guard, its citizen soldiers, and their families. General Willem enlisted in the Oklahoma National Guard in 1987 and was commissioned a second lieutenant in 1989. His assignments include Brigade Commander, 90th Troop Command, Director of Manpower and Personnel, Vice Chief of Staff, Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel, as well as staff and command positions at the brigade, battalion, and company levels. He served on active duty with the Oklahoma National Guard from 1997 to 2016 and deployed to Iraq with the 45th Infantry Brigade in 2008. General Willem serves as the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Military Department, state agency responsible for the administration of the Oklahoma National Guard. The General and his wife, Jody, reside in Edmond, Oklahoma. They have 2 daughters, Taylor and Shelby. And at this time, I would like to introduce to you General Willem.
Try to get this right. Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McKinley, for that introduction. I am truly honored to be here. I can honestly say this is probably so far the best Veterans Day ceremony I've been a part of. Unfortunately, you have to hear me, so it may go downhill from here. We'll see. Thank you, Chief Standing Bear, for extending the invitation and allowing me to speak today. Hearing your comments and those of Congressman Pratt and Chairman McKinley, and watching the presentation of the blankets to these true American heroes, and knowing what's coming up shortly with Frances Williams, with the ribbon cutting ceremony for this beautiful and fitting Osage Veterans Memorial, I truly am overwhelmed. This is the most distinguished group of people who have ever had to listen to me speak, and I think Chief Standing Bear knew I was a little intimidated, so he sent a platoon of bikers to police me up and make sure I made it today. So in addition to thanking the American Legion riders, I would again like to recognize all the veterans in attendance today, and from one military member to another, thank you for your service. As you can imagine, I've had the opportunity to speak at numerous events throughout my career, And quite often on one of the 2 days set aside to honor our military members, Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Obviously, I take great pride in all these opportunities, but I prefer to speak at events like today on Veterans Day. Because Memorial Day is a somber day of remembrance to honor those who have died while serving our country, Veterans Day is truly a day of celebration, a day to celebrate all those who have served, past and present. And every year, schools, government agencies, civic clubs, veteran organizations, etc., they all request military speakers to come and speak at their events. Because of this, the different branches of service, they all prepare pre-packaged speeches to send out to those speakers with major themes that the Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines want to convey to the public. I always like to take a look at these pre-packaged speeches to see how different my comments are going to be from what the Army really wants me to say. I normally stay out of trouble, so we'll try to do that again. This year, in addition to talking about the typical Veterans Day events of history, service, and sacrifice, which I'll get to, they also wanted to highlight some famous veterans that have served. We all know many of these folks: Clint Eastwood, Elvis Presley, more recent people like Senator John McCain, who recently passed away. And for some of the younger folks out there, guys like Adam Driver, who was in the Star Wars movies. And obviously the Osage Nation claims a very famous military veteran, the Warrior of the Sky, Clarence Tinker, who's right here from Pawhuska. And the Air Force Base, obviously, that carries his name also carries much of the state's military economic impact, providing tens of thousands of jobs for Oklahomans. So that's a good reason to be famous. But I really don't want to talk about the famous veterans, because in reality, most of us aren't now famous, will never be famous, and really we don't want to be famous. A very perfect example of that type of selfless service and sacrifice lies right here with the Osage people and the ties that they have with the Oklahoma National Guard. I'm going to go in through a little bit of history here, so bear with me. The Oklahoma National Guard started as the Territorial Militia in 1890 and then reorganized as the 1st Oklahoma Infantry Regiment in 1899. After statehood, the governor used them to stamp out various illegal activities, including unsanctioned boxing matches, horse racing, and liquor sales. The federal government then reorganized the National Guard as a whole in June of 1916. And get this, 15 days later, they mobilized the Oklahoma National Guard to serve on the Mexican border. So some things have really never changed in 100 years. But at that time, as the United States watched the events of the Great War in Europe unfold, they began to organize and prepare for the inevitable. When Congress declared war on Germany on April 6, 1917, 6 companies of the Oklahoma National Guard joined with 7 companies of the Texas National Guard, and they formed the 142nd Infantry Regiment, organized under the 36th Division of Texas. Now, rather than leaving their chances up to the draft, many Oklahomans joined the National Guard so that they could go to war with their friends and people from their communities. Among these men were many American Indians from across Oklahoma, including nearly 200 members of the Osage Nation. More men per capita than any tribe in the United States. It's worth noting that the 36th Division had more American Indian soldiers than any other division, and most of those were members of the 142nd Infantry Regiment from Oklahoma. Now, while the 36th was one of the last American divisions to arrive in France, they certainly left their mark and contributed greatly to the outcome of the war. They literally fought until the final throes of the war, which ended 100 years ago today, when the armistice ended the fighting on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. So it is very fitting that our celebration here today is being held when 100 years ago our ancestors were celebrating the end of the war to end all wars. Now, as a general officer, I'm supposed to think strategically. So the big takeaway for me, in addition to the heroic efforts of combat operations made by the Oklahomans in World War I, was the strategic effect that Oklahoma's Native American soldiers had in communications. The commander of the 142nd Infantry Regiment suspected that the Germans were intercepting his communications. And to counter this, he utilized the Native American soldiers to communicate in their native languages to relay orders. The first of these were the Choctaws, followed by Cherokee, Comanche, Cheyenne, and Osage soldiers. So the Osage soldiers of World War I were some of the first Native American code talkers, a program that was further developed and used with great success in World War II. And as you all know, Osage code talkers were finally recognized in 2013 in Washington, D.C. at the Osage Code Talker Medal Ceremony. So even though I'm really here to talk about the Native American ties to the 45th Infantry Division and the Oklahoma National Guard, I had to start first with the Oklahoma Infantry Regiment, the 142nd Infantry Regiment, and the 36th Division. Because heritage, history, and tradition matter. And believe me, the impact that Oklahoma's American Indian soldiers had on the 36th Division still remains. Their division's shoulder patch is very distinctive. It has a very large T on it. Because Texans are creative, the T stands for Texas. But that T for Texas rests on top of a blue arrowhead, which pays tribute to Oklahoma and its native inhabitants. That patch is still worn by soldiers of the Texas National Guard today, and I'm sure they feel much better knowing that they're carrying a small piece of Oklahoma history with them every day. So on to the 45th Division. When Chief Perrier, retired Chief Master Sergeant Perrier, not to get you in trouble with Chief Standing Bear, when Chief Master Sergeant Perrier first contacted me about speaking today, I jumped at the chance. But when he told me that the memorial was going to fly the 45th Division flag, that really excited me. For those of you who don't know, the 45th Infantry Division was founded in 1923 with units from Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. And when they were designing the symbol that would represent the states and the people making up the division, they decided on a diamond-shaped patch with 4 sides representing the 4 states. The colors were red and yellow, symbolizing the Spanish flag, which had flown at one time over each of the 4 states. But the most important thing that they wanted to symbolize was the connection to the people of those states, which for so long had inhabited the lands, the Indian tribes of the Southwest and Great Plains. The original design, which was approved in 1924, was a symbol well known among Native peoples all across the United States, and really the world, but it had various meanings depending on the languages that were spoken. However, that symbol, commonly known as the swastika, was co-opted by Nazi Germany, and so obviously with what was going on, we couldn't have that symbol anymore, and it's a shame that that has been changed, the meaning of that symbol has been changed. But in 1939, because of that, Kiowa artist Woody Bigbow's Thunderbird design was approved as the new symbol for the 45th Infantry Division. So the 45th Infantry Division provides the heritage, history, and tradition of the Oklahoma National Guard. General George Patton said, quote, "Born at sea, baptized in blood, your fame shall never die. The 45th Infantry Division is one of the best, if not the best division in the history of American arms," unquote. And so the 45th Division, after training for a year, made their first amphibious landing at Sicily, Italy on July 10, 1943. They would serve in combat for the next 511 straight days. They made 3 more amphibious landings at Salerno, Anzio, and southern France, and they would not stop fighting until they smashed through the Siegfried Line, crossing the Rhine, and capturing the cities of Nuremberg and Munich, and liberating the Nazi concentration camp at Dachau. In World War II, the 45th Infantry Division suffered 3,547 men killed in action, 13,729 wounded, and 3,615 missing in action. But they also inflicted a heavy price on the enemy and captured over 120,000 prisoners of war. The soldiers of the 45th Infantry Division were awarded many distinctions for actions in combat, including 2,629 Bronze Stars, 1,113 Silver Stars, 81 Legions of Merit, 77 Distinguished Service Crosses, and 8 Medals of Honor. Now, I don't have a count for all the awards, but I do know for sure that 3 of those Medals of Honor were awarded to Native American soldiers. First Lieutenant Jack Montgomery and Second Lieutenant Ernest Childers, both of Oklahoma, and both of the 180th Infantry. and Second Lieutenant Van Barfoot from Mississippi, and a member of the 157th Infantry. The 45th Infantry Division was released from active duty in 1945, and it was reorganized as an all-Oklahoma National Guard division in 1946. 5 years later, in 1951, the 45th Infantry Division was back on its way to combat as one of only 2 National Guard divisions to serve in Korea. This time in Korea, the 45th Infantry Division saw 429 days of combat, participating in such famous battles as Old Baldy, Pork Chop Hill, Heartbreak Ridge, and Luke's Castle. During the Korean War, the 45th Division suffered 4,004 casualties, consisting of 834 men killed in action, 3,170 wounded in action. And this war again saw a Medal of Honor recipient from the 45th Division, and again he was a Native American soldier, Private First Class Charles George from North Carolina, and a member of the 179th Infantry. Now the 179th Infantry and the 180th now Cavalry, both still part of the Oklahoma National Guard today, are direct descendants of the 142nd Infantry Regiment of World War I and the 45th Infantry Division of World War II in Korea. To emphasize this connection, these units have approved nicknames by the U.S. Army Center of Military History, which harken back to their Native American history. Soldiers of the 179th Infantry Regiment are known as Tomahawks, and the 180th Cavalry Squadron's troopers are known as Oklahoma's Warriors. Where most U.S. units have English or Latin mottos, the 180th Cavalry Squadron's motto is spelled out on their coat of arms in the Choctaw language and translates to ready in peace or war. The 45th Infantry Division, the Oklahoma National Guard, and the Native American people of Oklahoma are forever linked through heritage, history, and tradition. Now, while the 45th Infantry Division seeks to exist in 1968, our Oklahoma Army National Guard soldiers, whether they be from the 45th Infantry Brigade, the 45th Field Artillery Brigade, or the 90th Troop Command, all still proudly wear the Thunderbird as part of our uniform. We understand the importance of heritage, history, tradition, and symbols. The symbol of Thunderbird is what ties us to our parents and grandparents who served in the 45th Infantry Division, some of who are with us here today, like former 45th Infantry Division Captain Richard Luttrell. Captain Luttrell, obviously who serves as a member of the Veterans Memorial Commission, served in the 45th Infantry Division during the Korean War, and you heard some of the other units he was in earlier. Assigned to the 180th Infantry, Captain Luttrell commanded nearly 300 men, including several fellow Native American soldiers. Today, his granddaughter's husband, Captain Warren Queeton, proudly serves in the Oklahoma National Guard. Captain Queeton, of Kiowa, Cherokee, and Seminole descent, is currently deployed in Kuwait, commanding the 1245 Transportation Company in their support of our continued war on terror. Now, outside of their families, friends, and fellow veterans, Captain Luttrell, Captain Queeton, they may not rise to the same level of fame as Clint Eastwood or Elvis. But our shared heritage, history, and tradition ensure a place of honor for them forever. I would like to close again by saying how honored I am to be here. I expect this monument will be a site of many, many future ceremonies and services for years to come, and it has been my true pleasure to be able to speak at the first of these celebrations. Thank you very much.